My pivot into cannabis was inspired by a personal health journey. I was diagnosed with breast cancer a few years ago. During that time, I really started using the cannabis plant to help heal me. Hi, everyone. It's such a great opportunity to be here with you today in my new capacity as an attorney with the Cannabis Workforce Initiative, also known as CWI. As a cannabis attorney, I've helped clients navigate the legal cannabis industry in various areas, including labor and employment, and I'm excited to use my skills and abilities to help support New York's cannabis workforce. And as Jason mentioned, my pivot into cannabis was inspired by a personal health journey. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with breast cancer a few years ago. I'm good now, we thank God. And during that time, I really started using the cannabis plant to help heal me during treatment, and I'm all the better for it. So after that, I decided to dedicate my career to helping the industry expand and helping the plant get into the hands of people, because I truly believe it can make quality of life so much better for so many of us. So more about CWI, now that I've told you all my business. So CWI is a collaboration between the New York State School of Labor and Industrial Relations at Cornell University and the Workforce Development Institute. And our mission is really to promote and support social equity in the adult use cannabis market by providing quality workforce development training and legal education. So to that end, we partner with community-based organizations, elected officials, schools, to provide free training and resources. And the best part really is that our programming is 100% free, free 99, we like that, to participants and our partnering organizations. So we're currently offering a 15-hour certificate program, and we've been thrilled with the amount of participation we've been seeing so far. It's an online program, and we've had an average of 500 participants participating each session. So just to give you a sense that the interest is really out there. And the certificate program serves as an introduction to the cannabis industry, as well as to careers across the supply chain in the cannabis industry, and worker protections under labor and employment laws and the MRTA, which I'll touch upon briefly today. And in addition to the certificate program, we also collaborate with schools and community groups to provide one-off training, workshops, our series, our certificate program as well, all with the goal of improving employment outcomes in the New York cannabis industry. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the MRTA, which I know you all know all about, but I want to talk about it in further context with respect to employment and labor law. So as we know, the major driving force of the MRTA was to deal with mass incarceration and the fact that the war on drugs took far more of a toll on people of color. So to that end, 50% of the licenses will be granted to social equity applicants, including those who have been formerly incarcerated. And the goal here is really to reverse the harm caused by the war on drugs and to help people shed the stigma that they've had by these convictions to be able to find good jobs or build their own businesses. So the OCM, as you heard earlier today, is moving forward to regulate the industry and make it equitable. And we've had an opportunity to share with them some of the workforce content that we're working on as part of their compliance training and mentorship program. Okay, so licensing is just one part of the full picture under the MRTA. The MRTA's equity aims also have a major impact on the state's labor and employment laws, as well as on employer and employee rights and responsibilities. So one of the most important things that the MRTA accomplishes is the expungement of criminal records for low-level cannabis convictions, which is happening automatically. And this is very significant because it means you do not have to list the expunged conviction on a job application that asks if you've been convicted or arrested. And the issue here is that people aren't being notified about the fact that their records have been expunged, but this is something that happens automatically and free of charge. But if you want proof that your record has been properly expunged, which we recommend, you can request a certificate of disposition from the court where the case was decided for a small fee. So the MRTA is also set up to allow employees to decide whether or not they want to join a union. As Jason mentioned, New York is a very pro-union state, and labor and peace agreements provide the ability for a campaign to take place by requiring employers to remain neutral, and in return, the union agrees not to strike or boycott during that process. The MRTA also amended labor law in New York so that now employers cannot discriminate against employees using cannabis outside of the workplace, outside of work hours, and without the use of employer equipment or on the employer's property, subject to a few exceptions, such as certain type of jobs or other federal law requirements, or if the employee exhibits specific symptoms of impairment that creates an unsafe workplace or decreases their job performance. Employers are also prohibited from drug testing employees for cannabis unless they're required to do so by law. So one of the things that's really important to us is all the questions that people have. Questions like, what do I do if I'm being discriminated against in the workplace? What hourly rate do I need to pay my employees? What information can I ask about in a job interview, on the job application? There's just so much to know, and we want employees and employers to know that their rights and responsibilities, because we want them to know their rights and responsibilities because we believe that this will further advance New York's goal of creating an equitable industry. So we put these questions into context in our workshops, and we work towards helping people think about the answers to these, not just as it relates to the laws, but also as it relates to best practices and policies. So for us, it's really important for us not to just focus on the law themselves, but to also focus on the areas of the laws such as that the laws impact, so such as compensation, discrimination and harassment, privacy, safety. So looking at these categories, you get a better sense of how important it is for employees to know their rights and for employers to know their rights and responsibilities. So let's look at that a little further. What we want you to know is that employees are protected by varying federal, state, and local laws. Let me give you a quick example of that. There are federal laws that protect individuals from discrimination based on certain things like race, age, gender, religion. New York State specifically has anti-discrimination laws for the workplace that are broader because you can't discriminate on other things such as criminal records. And there are also local laws in New York that protect employees with criminal records in the pre-employment process. Collective bargaining agreements also can give employees more rights and more protection than what the law provides. For example, while the most common arrangement for employment is at-will employment, which means an employee can be terminated for any reason without warning and without the employer having to disclose the reason, a union can negotiate in a collective bargaining agreement that union employees cannot be fired without just cause, which means that the employer would have to adhere to certain steps and standards in order to discipline or terminate an employee, such as issuing a series of warnings or disclosing the reason for the termination. Some employer policies can also give employees greater rights, protections, and benefits. Rights and responsibilities are changing all the time. There's a lot of parts of the law that you'll be interfacing with as an employer. So the key is that it's really, really important for employers and employees to realize that they can seek advice from experts for these questions that will inevitably come up. So what's the overall mission of what we're trying to accomplish at CWI? It's really to create a fair and equitable workplace. We want to see cannabis workplaces that have respect, inclusion, where employees have a voice, where they are giving positive affirmations for the hard work that they're doing, where there is fairness, equity, safety, good benefits, and good compensation. Sorry about that. It looks like we're missing a slide with our website on it, but the good news is I'm here all day and we have a table in the back, so I would love to answer any questions you have, talk about potentially partnering. I'm really excited to be helping to move CWI's mission forward, so I hope I see you back there.